So good day, everyone. The topic of concern for this lecture video is about scope and lifetime of variables. So what is scope and lifetime? So first, let's try to understand what these terms are using a simple na real life na example. So you can think of a scope and the lifetime as your access to the computer, access to services in within the universities. So there are computer laboratories, there are broadcasting studios, and there are also libraries. So you as a computer science na students have can are able to access these laboratories in the computer science na um, department. Okay, and also if you are a CMS na student, or then you are able to access these broadcasting na studios. But since you are not enrolled in CMS, then you are not able to access this broadcasting studio without permission. And this you also as a CMS na student, you cannot access the computer science na laboratory. So we can say that the scope of computer science laboratories is only for those who are enrolled in the program, and the broadcasting na studios are the broadcasting studio scope is only limited to the CMS na students. But um, being enrolled in UPV, there are services that are global, or let's in other words, global in a sense that these services are available for everyone in the university, regardless of which program you are enrolled to. Okay, so you can say that the scope of this service in UPV is global. Okay, so what about the lifetime? So there is also a lifetime to your access in these services. So while you are enrolled as a computer science na student, then you have access to the laboratories here. But once you shift to another program, then you lose your access. Or if you have already graduated, then you lose also your access to the computer science laboratory. So, in other words, the scope is the scope refers to the area or region only where these laboratories are accessible. But the lifetime is until when you are able to access these services. Okay, so that concept may be associated with the scope and the lifetime of variables in your program. So think of it as, let's say you have one whole na program. Okay, so this is one program, and you have declared or defined several na functions in your program. Of course, you have to have the mean. Okay, so there are variables only that you declare within a certain function. So let's say you have in this funct one, this j and k are only accessible in the funct1 na function. The b and c are only accessible to funct2 na function. And then this b and c also are also accessible only to the main function. So remember in our previous discussion that several functions have their own set of declarations and statements, and you can set whether those variables may be accessible within that function only or accessible to other na functions as well. So also you have the int I and j na function that is declared outside of any function, which means that we consider this one as a global and may be accessed by any other na functions. Okay, so we will delve more deeper about this in the next na slides. So again, a variable has a scope and a lifetime. So it's another property on top of the data type. So we have already discussed what a data type before, and it could be integer or double, floating point, char, etc. Okay, any C valid data type. So in addition to type, you also have a storage class na property, which is further divided or categorized into scope and lifetime, right? So when we say scope, so it's just the region of the program where a defined variable can have its existence, okay? Or in which it's a region of code uh, in which a variable is available to use, right? So the lifetime naman is that time of which the variable is taking up a valid space in the system's memory. So it's a time duration where an object or variable is in a valid na state. So for example, in the real life na scenario that I have introduced in the earlier na slides, while you are enrolled in the university, you get to have access to these services provided by university. But once you are graduated, once you're already an alumni, or once you transfer to another school, you lose the access provided by the university. So you have privileges while you are enrolled. Okay, so again, the scope is the area in which the variable is applicable or alive, and it's simply a block or region where a variable is declared, defined, and used. So when a block or region ends, a variable is automatically destroyed. Okay, so we will talk more about this in the next slides. So there are three places where variables can be declared. So it could be local, global, or in a function scope. So we have already discussed a bit about the difference between a local and the global is. And then you know that a local are those variables that have been declared inside a function or a block. While a global naman, global na variables are those variables that are declared outside of all the functions and therefore accessible to every other function in your code. Okay, and then the function scope is when a variable is being passed as a formal argument. So in the next videos, we will discuss um, each of this variable.